Hello everyone, I am sharing another ranting video today, and today I'm sharing something to do with how we communicate in terms of maybe when you have conflicts or when you're conflicted with someone or when you're having a different opinion from somebody, whether it's your child or relatives or anyone. And the first thing that I have learned to consider is, what do you want to achieve? If you're arguing with someone or if you're disagreeing with someone, or as I put it sometimes, that I don't argue, I debate, um, what you're debating about with someone, what exactly are you trying to achieve? If I'm trying to convince someone to agree with me with regards to something, have you ever wondered about what you wanted to achieve? It's like having a meeting with someone. You have to know what the goal is. You have to know what you're trying to achieve. If it's to do with a child and maybe you want them to um, engage in an activity that they have no interest in, or you want them to alter certain habits that they have, sometimes it's really difficult because, we get frustrated because maybe something that we've been dealing with for a very long time and it hasn't changed. And it's natural for us to then respond in a negative way or be a little irritated with it. But one thing I have really worked hard at, and it's still a work in progress, is to pause and think about the issue at hand that you're trying to get to the bottom of. You have to think about, what is it that I'm trying to achieve? I'm trying to get this person to do this thing differently. I'm trying to maybe get my husband to do this task regularly. I'm trying to get a child to stop doing this. I'm trying to get a child to do this instead. A typical example I find with people of my age is we have, well, they're not kids, they're adults, they're adult children. Let me put it that way. And sometimes, they have their own lives that they have mapped out for themselves. They have their routines and the way they do things. But for us, they're still our children, they're still our kids, and there's still certain expectations that want. We want them to keep in touch. If you're anything like me, you just want them to keep in touch every now and then. You're not expecting them to call you every time because most of the time you're busy anyway. You don't want people to be bothering you all the time. But I think it's normal and it's not unreasonable to expect a child to keep up to date or to call you or to text you every now and then. But most of us find that they don't. And it can be very frustrating because you're having to make the contact. And sometimes the kind of response that you get, it's not the kind of response that you want. It's almost like you're bothering them. But the reason why you're bothering them is because they're not doing what you expect them to do. So again, what do you want to achieve? What you want to achieve is for them to constantly make contact with you. What you want to achieve is for them to constantly update you with what's going on. So instead of arguing with them about this, what can you do? What can you do? You have to think about how to have this conversation in order to encourage them or to successfully encourage them to engage with you. And so yelling at them is probably not going to be useful. It could be maybe asking questions or saying, well, if you don't contact me, then I worry. Just have a conversation. How would you feel if you're a parent and your children didn't contact you? Do you understand how I feel about you not calling? I'm not bothering you. I just want to be reassured that you're well. If you don't want me to keep going on about that particular issue, then do something about it. Have a plan. Look for ideas that you can maybe share with them and see, how about this? Maybe this can help you and I. Or look, I'm using this and it's helping me keep in touch with people, or it's helping me keep people updated. The same thing applies to us. We have parents who are aging who also want us to keep in touch. And a lot of us would maybe make it a habit that every Sunday you call your mom, you call your dad, you call your parents. Or maybe every now and then or every other week, have a time that you have all agreed to have a session together. And maybe something like that might be more workable than constantly arguing about, why don't you respond to my texts, or why don't you call me, or why don't you let me know that everything is okay. That's just an example of what we can of how we can solve situations without getting into an argument with your husband or your children. Another one, or another kind, is maybe if you have a husband and there's something that you don't agree with. He has his own opinion about it. You have your own opinion about it. And many times, this is a kind of situation that can result in a huge, huge argument. And for me, anyone who knows me knows that what I believe in is, if no one is going to die, then I'm not going to argue about it. Especially when it comes to, relationships, your marriage. If no one is going to die and you think that that particular topic might result in a huge argument, then I would avoid it. I would avoid it. No matter how difficult it is for you at that point in time, I would definitely avoid it. In that situation, you might want to consider taking some time out, thinking about the situation, analyzing it, and I guess coming to a conclusion as to whether you think you're being reasonable or he's being unreasonable. And sometimes we think we're reasonable. Who thinks that they're unreasonable? We think we're reasonable. And maybe think about ways that you can relay your information or you can communicate. Think about another opportunity to explain the reason why you feel so. Write it down. Approach it in the same way that you would approach work. I have had to do that, which I know is funny, but it is work. Being married is a lot of work. And you have to think about the situation. What is this that we're arguing about? Why do I feel this way? And why is he feeling that way? Maybe you can start by saying, well, why do you think we should do it that way? What are your reasons? Don't try and do these things when everyone is angry. Just wait and be patient and just say, well, why do you want this to happen this way? And listen to him or her, listen to their own side of the story, why they think something should happen in a certain way. And maybe that would guide you in the way that you approach it. Or maybe if you can listen to what he has to say or she has to say and really think about it when you're not angry, maybe you would realize that they have a point. If you still feel that you have a point or that your idea is going to be more effective, then present your case and say, well, yes, I hear you said this, but the problem with that is this and that might happen. And then what do we do? Often is, when you have kids, can be challenging sometimes to deal with situations that concern them. Sometimes you have to ask yourself, what am I going to achieve by doing this? Or what do I want to achieve? What do I want to achieve at the end of it? I want this to happen. And you have to think again, if I do this, am I really going to get the result that I'm looking for? If you're not going to get the result that you're looking for, then you have to think about another way to deal with it. And so that's what I've learned with communication, and that is to pause and think about what the issue is. What do you want to achieve? What is the end result? What do you want to achieve at the end of it? And the way that you're going about it, are you going to be able to achieve that purpose? Are you going to be able to reach your goal or not? Am I approaching it the right way? Is there any other way that I can approach it? Are there any strategies that maybe I can learn and put in place to help me deal with some of these issues? That's what I've learned. Please share in the comment section if you have learned, or if you have any ideas that you have used or you use in terms of these complex situations. Please share in the comment section. And I'll see you again at my next video. Goodbye.